In this video, I will show you how to make a simple scaped terrarium in a closed glass jar. This 2-liter jar from Ikea will be ideal for the build I have in my mind. It has a transparent lid which will allow light to pass through for photosynthesis by the plants. The first step is to lay down a drainage layer which will store any excess water. I'm using lava rocks for this layer. They are lightweight and highly porous, allowing them to hold water as well as house beneficial bacteria. Their earthy color will also blend very well with the substrate mix when placed above it. For the next layer, I'm using activated carbon. It will help to absorb excess water and prevent buildup of bad bacteria. The third and final layer is the terrarium substrate mix. It consists of 6 components, which are 2 parts of cocoa fiber, 1 part each of sand, dry sphagnum moss and pine bark, and half portion each of activated carbon and aqua soil. This is an ideal soil mix for closed terrariums since it is lightweight, airy, nutrient-rich and has moisture retention and compaction resisting qualities, along with anti-mold and antibacterial properties. Seiryu stones are my favorite hardscape material. These are metamorphic rocks with a lot of deep cuts, crevices and textures, which makes it really interesting. I have chosen 2 pieces from the lot I have for my build. I place the smaller rock on the substrate to the right. The larger one is placed in a leaning position using the smaller rock as a support in an A-line formation. Using a brush, I model away the substrate underneath the rocks to make the background faintly visible through them. This will be the focal point of the scape. I remove the rocks and lightly shape the smaller rock with a pair of pliers to make it a more stable rest for the larger rock. I place back the rocks and model the substrate again until I achieve the desired look. I mist the soil under the rocks at this point so that it stays in place and does not move during the rest of the build process. I proceed to add more soil on either side of the rocks and model it with my brush to further build up the scape. Next, I mist the substrate adequately to ensure the soil does not shift anymore and wipe up the glass. It is now time to bring the scape to life with live moss. I start placing patches of sheet moss on the left of the scape and press it gently against the substrate with a chopstick. I repeat the moss planting process on the right to tie things together. Micranthemum Monte Carlo is an aquatic carpeting plant, but they tend to do well in their emerged state inside a closed terrarium. I separate a tissue cultured patch of Monte Carlo and place it on the right in the foreground. I separate another patch and place it on the left, leaving an empty space in between. I add some sphagnum moss between the Monte Carlo and the sheet moss on the left to create a transition as well as some contrast. I cover up the empty space leading to the focal point with small pieces and dust particles of Seiryu stones. This will act like a pathway leading the viewer's eyes to our focal point. I add some slightly larger stones randomly on the pathway to make it look natural. I place another rock to the left in the background to create more depth. The terrarium is given a misting again at this point. Using cuttings of Selaginella Erythropus, I create pockets of sharp color contrast within the scape. I proceed to add a few more stones randomly in the foreground to bring everything together in a natural way. I also added a mini Bolbitis fern on the far left to bring more balance into the design. The terrarium gets a final round of misting and the glass is wiped up. The lid is placed on the jar to close it and our terrarium is now complete. I hope you have enjoyed this build. Thanks for watching and see you soon.